Well, you may be familiar with some of the wacky Halloween videos created by the staff and seniors at Alderwood Estates in Witless Bay. Well, they released a new video for International Women's Day tomorrow, and it celebrates an empowering moment in women's history, the introduction of the birth control pill. Now, they call the video Lots of Sex and No Babies, and the soundtrack is a rendition of Loretta Lynn's song, The Pill. Here's Recreational Director Renee Houlihan explaining how this video came about.
All these years I've stayed at home while you had all your fun, and every year that's gone by, another baby's come.
We've taken a very serious moment in the history of the women's movement, and we've used the lens of humor to amplify it. But make no mistake, there is a beautiful message in here about a time and a voice that I don't think has ever really been heard before.
When they got up, they were so
This voice comes from no other than Nora Normore, and she's 103 in February. So Nora had us all transfixed one day when we were having our, coffee and chats, talking about, life and what life was like years ago, as we often do, reminiscing. And Nora, talked about a day that she was working in the pharmacy in Belle Island, and she said it very casually. She went in to describe how she went to work, and there was all these women lined up waiting to get in the pharmacy on this day, and she was past, she was older. She was in her 50s then and done having children. So she wasn't really in tune with what was going on. So she just turned to all the women and she said, "My, oh my, what are you all doing here?" And one of the women answered, "We heard you can get the pill here now. We hear the birth control pill is available here, and we're here to get it." And the thing that inspired truly this video was Nora's description of the women's response to the pill on the day it became available. I had never heard a firsthand recollection before about this day. It's been kind of hush-hush, no one's really talked about it. So Nora describes how the women get the pill, and then they're so jubilant that they start running around the pharmacy with their arms up in the air, yelling out, "Lots of sex and no babies, lots of sex and no babies." And I just thought that the jubilant and triumphant description of this moment in time needed to be amplified, and people needed to hear in the excitement from these women what it must have meant to women who might have had 10. I mean, we have women here at Alderwood that have 15 children. So, what that meant, the jubilation and the triumphant, tone of that moment, of that transaction, clearly indicated to me that this was maybe a bigger moment than we thought.
They danced over to the door and they said, "Lots of sex and no babies, lots of sex and no babies."
Not that they didn't have beautiful husbands and beautiful families, and there's no negativity in this, but it was very strenuous to have 15 children or 20 children or 18 children. So in this heroine in the pill, they could relate to that idea of, being home, and as soon as you have one, another one is on the way. Many of the women here have what we call on the shore Irish twins, and they have 2 babies within 12 months. So they could relate to this woman's kind of like certainly where she came from and having no control to eventually having some control over her life and her choices and how many children she had. So they really related to the heroine in the story of the pill. These videos are really and truly the Trojan horse in the weapon against fighting dementia, because what these videos do is, number one, they engage everybody, and everybody has input, everybody talks, everybody comes up with their roles, everybody picks their characters, everybody learns their lines, everybody has to learn the song, and then they all watch each other, and then they cheer each other on their scenes, and they're like, "Oh, that's so good, and you should do this next time," and it's such a group effort, even if you're only in the video for one scene, or you're singing the whole song. It brings us together as a family here at Alderwood. But again, the laughs, the connections, and the community support. I mean, I call up the fire department, no problem, we'll be there. The local daycare, here in Witless Bay, Raleigh's Roost, a phenomenal facility, and I brought Alice Kavanagh, and I said, could I bring one of my seniors up, because Alice had 15 children, and I said, I really want the visual and scope of what does 15 children really look like. And this year, International Women's Day is all about, technology, and it's more about the digital. But for these women, the pill changed. That was the technology that changed made the biggest improvement in women's life, the ability to choose how many children they had and when they had them. So I am incredibly proud of these women for using their voices, and they were a little shy at first. The pill it's a bit of a risque song for a seniors home. The video is called Lots of Sex and No Babies. That's not generally what we do, but again, on International Women's Day, these women stood up and they put their voices out there, and I'm so proud of them for that.